Oh, okay. All right, thank you. We're here to discuss concurrence request, message number 195 on Senate File 35. We objected to your change to the bill. In fact, we objected 30-0 to your amendment to the bill.
Like it.
Yeah, we didn't like it.
No, ferocious. It was amazing.
Yeah. So we had this amendment in committee, and we did not move it.
Correct.
And so it died in our committee. Then it came up on the floor from Senator Cooper, and he introduced it, and it passed. And the next day, we had him withdraw it because we didn't like it. So that's kind of our history with this amendment that you guys got and passed. So, yeah, go ahead.
So, Senator, the history in the House is somewhat similar. This amendment came up in a little different form. It wasn't quite this. In House Transportation that we handled this in. It was a minerals bill and came to transportation and that. So it came up and we decided then, because we didn't like the wording, to not even propose it. So between coming out, and then we passed it out of the committee as it was without the amendment. So then when it came up on the floor, industry came back and said, hey, we've all agreed we would like this amendment in because industry, the various power companies had been kind of feuding among themselves, so to speak, on what they wanted for the wording, and come back and said, okay, we have all the wording, we all agree with it. So that was the amendment that was put back in by myself at their request. I don't think the amendment really matters that much, although the request was so that it's really between here, actually between Rollins and Laramie, that they will, if you put stations in, they'll have to be self-generating electricity, which means wind or solar. And the issue was they don't want, they being the power companies, the people who have those charging stations to sell power to, say, the local ranchers or someone else out there. And that was the reason for the amendment, to clarify that. That's it. So.
And our concern was that we've actually seen a electric car company with diesel generators on their charging stations. So they were not buying power from the power company. So this would say they couldn't do that. And I'm still thinking that they might do that.
Mr. Chairman, that was your objection, was that it would prevent self-generating installation to sell power to EV charging stations.
But they wouldn't be selling power. They'd be producing it for themselves and then selling it to the car company. Yeah.
Well, I think, unless otherwise accepted by the commission, would allow that still. I'm certain that it would.
Yes.
But I've talked to the commission and they were in favor of this amendment as well.
So, Mr. Chairman, I think the commission was okay with the language, which is different than in favor of the amendment.
Yeah,
The commission
they had no problem with
the language because it was consistent with statute.
Yeah, I shouldn't say that they were in favor of it.
Yeah. So a couple of things. The first is that to say industry all agreed, the power producers all agreed. The folks that support electric vehicle charging stations said, no, we don't like that. We don't want any part of that. It doesn't need to be there. Your regulatory structure will govern elsewhere, but there's no reason to put this into the statute, which was exactly what my inclination was. We have all of the regulated utility statutes that still govern. Nothing here exempts or accepts that or exempts it in any way. So we still have a regulated utility structure in the state. The idea that we need to go in every time we mention utilities and reassert that the regulated utility legislation still applies to this too. Oh, and this too. Oh, and this too. I just don't think is necessary. It was a good, clean, simple statute. The purpose of it was, hey, let's make sure that the power, the charging stations are appropriately reflected in statute. It was done in the first draft. And I do understand that all of the regulated utilities are here, and they're here again, to tell us that we need to, once again, reiterate the fact that, yes, this is a regulated utility state. It just doesn't seem like we need to add that to statute, realistically. Does it do anything? Maybe not at the end of the day. Because again, the PSC is still going to govern this circumstance if they're providing power and if they don't have an explicit tariff. So that language at best does nothing. And at worst, maybe it does something. Which is where I was left thinking, why would we add it if at best it does nothing and at worst it does something that we don't understand?
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I could go either way on this language, frankly. I think the concern of being able to sell electricity from electricity that you're also selling through an EV charger, I think that would still require you to fall under the PSC's rules, if I'm correct, even with this language.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I think the example of a diesel generator, that if the minute they sold it, other than for their own use, they're now a public utility anyway. So,
Except for an electric EV charging station. That's exempted, as
Yep.
long as it's only sold that.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not familiar with this concurrence process.
Well, we come in here and we talk, and
Yeah,
you
I
guys
know.
give up. That's the process.
Did you guys do a lower house? And you just roll for it.
That's the process.
No, is all we can do is accept or reject this amendment?
We have to,
we have
Can
to
we
stay
make another
within the disputed language, which means we could change the language, we could accept it or reject it.
But we can't
And
add anything anywhere else in
no,
the bill?
no.
Okay.
correct, it has to be between the two positions is
Yes.
is the first committee.
Yeah,
It has to be between the two positions. Obviously, you can delete amendments or not, or
amendments.
keep amendments or change within. Any of that is in order, and then you can make motions for a final acceptance effectively of what we do. So I don't know how hung up or interested you are. I will simply make the motion that we delete the House amendment as the first opening motion. If that's agreeable, I'll make that motion if anyone wants to second that.
I'd second
And I don't know if it's a good starting point, makes things quick.
From my standpoint, I don't object to that motion.
I don't either. I think the change that we've made in the bill itself limits that sale to EV charging stations only.
Yeah.
And I was gonna maybe put an only in there, but if that's not a part of our discussion.
No, we
then
can't
don't
do
need
that.
to that.
So I think the House will ascend to the Senate's position on this.
Thank you.
Yeah, question on that? Get a vote?
Well, I don't know a wiser house chairman.
Do we want to vote on it, or you just want to send?
We just
If
agree.
everyone agrees, then
You're agreeing.
it'll be a signature we prepare it up, as
Yeah.
long as everyone, all in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, all good, okay,
Okay.
then we'll just get that drafted. Thanks, everyone.
Okay.